thing. It's like, for me, this is my perspective. This is from my observation, right? I always say it's because I'm a bartender, because I am a bartender. Like, that's what I do for a living. So I see things as a bartender. I see that, like, as a guy providing an environment of a nightlife for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it as that. I see it as just a patron. I see it from just me at, like, face value.
Right.
So, like, again, I could be completely wrong in everything that I'm observing here. But at the same time, like, this is just how my brain works. You know what I mean? This is how I process everything. So, like, that's just a giant disclaimer for this episode if it gets a little heavy.
If you end up disagreeing with our opinions, bro, I can move it myself. God damn it! I know. I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you. But right, like, this is just a giant disclaimer for the opinions of two guys who are pretty objective.
I was gonna
most
say,
things,
this is
right?
straight objective. Like, I'm not here to be subjective about myself, float my own ego, diminish anybody else's. Like this again. This is just coming from as objective of a personal perspective as possible.
Right. But
I need that down.
Yeah,
It's gonna be one of these guys. It's gonna be one of these kind of.
it is like, here's my thing, Steve. Like, again, me and Cassie have like an interesting relationship in overall, but like, it's very basic in a lot of main things.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what I was gonna say when we were talking about the women who basically find men who will worship them because, you know, they think they're perfect, or like they think they're like top quality. You end up with this whole like dynamic that most men don't find very appealing.
Well, that's the thing though too, is like what I've noticed too is girls who have that mindset, they find that they're the ones that'll worship regardless, right? Like, to them, they are like a religion. Like, oh, this guy's gonna believe in me regardless now. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, now they can do and say what they want with each guy because every guy worships you. Like, there's nothing wrong with like that. It's playing a game.
Right.
It's just playing the game.
Right.
Right. For me, I don't like doing that shit because I don't want to be someone's second choice.
Exactly.
So it's like, I always tell people, I'm all in or all out. Like, if you're not showing me that same level of respect, then I'm out of here. Like, why am I worshiping you? You know, now I'm putting a little less attention on myself. Like, I need to focus on me. So thank you for trying to, for second, like, backdooring me, making me an option to you.
Right.
Right? Because that's how it becomes. It's like the goddess has multiple options, and she goes, okay, let's see which one has earned this goddessness.
Like, right, has earned my favor.
And
like,
I'm always and for me, I just go, no, you can have it.
Right. I'm an atheist. Thank you. Goodbye. Yeah.
I'll leave it to the next guy you had in line because I don't want to play. I'm not trying to compete with nobody. I don't want to play that game with anybody. Like,
which is, by the way, mad main character energy. You know, the main characters that are just like they end up somewhere and they're like, the gods are here, everyone bow. And the main character is like, listen, I don't know you. Right? Like, I showed up in this world maybe 6 months ago. All right?
Like that scene from Dragon Ball Super where like Goku meets Zeno. Right? And everyone else is like, yo, like, everyone bow. Like, all the gods of destruction, all the angels are like, yo, this is the guy. Like, let him cook.
Right.
Let him cook.
Let him cook.
And Goku's just like, what are you cooking? What's that?
It was all like, oh, just let's make you.
Zeno. I'm gonna call you Zenny, bro.
Right. Like, he's like, oh yeah, hey Zeno, real quick, I don't like pickles on my burger. Thank you. like, because that's the whole thing. I'm looking at men, right? Like, I got 2 roommates right now. One struggles with talking and meeting women, but that's mainly because, like, again, he doesn't understand the implications of what makes people super appealing like you, right? Again, you go to the gym to work on your body. You study really intense material to work on your brain. Like, and by the way, as a computer scientist who has had to learn a lot of the things Steve just knows because he felt like learning it, is insane to me. I'm always gonna be waiting for you to get that, that STEM degree.
Dude, everyone. I had a friend who was trying to, he was like, you need to go back to school. I'm like, why? He's like, you're too smart. I'm like, wait, so why would I go back to school then?
Here's the thing. Here's Steve's one issue with school, and this is from me and my observations. You don't like the
Lack of challenge.
Not the well, it's if you stick through it, it gets challenging. But what I think you really don't like is the fact that you're doing all this, but they're not actually gaining you knowledge. They're testing your ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like they're not going like, does he actually know this stuff or show the willingness to learn it? They're going, please show up. Here's a quiz.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you answer the questions. Did you memorize the answers properly? Good. Moving on. Here's a test. Moving on. Here's a homework assignment. That doesn't really worry you because homework was never your issue from what I recall.
No, never.
Right. So you don't like the whole like, oh, I have to sit here and prove my worth to a random ass motherfucker who probably doesn't have as much worth as I currently have. Let's be honest. Most teachers, dude. Okay, I'm taking my artificial intelligence class right now. They hired class started January like 27th.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. My artificial intelligence class is on Mondays and Wednesdays. They hired the teacher that Monday. They hired the teacher that Monday. He doesn't even have a class. He went to Berkeley's website and went, Berkeley has an artificial intelligence course. We'll just do this. That's what's happening. Now I don't give a fuck about that class, quite frankly, because I show up. I'm like, I know how to do this. You put the assignment there. I'll do the assignment. I shouldn't have to show up here, but I still got to show up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my issue with college. But going back to the original topic, you have all these, like, I have two roommates. One of them doesn't understand the whole thing you have, which is you improve upon your value. And when you improve upon your value, women go, that's a motherfucking diamond right there. Like, that's a bag. And they want it. My roommate, he goes, you know what? I don't get why women don't like me. And then he'll sit in the fucking, he'll sit at home all weekend reading manga, watching anime.
Here's the funny thing. I do that too.
No. You do it, but you do other things.
Yeah.
Right? You go, all right, I got 3 hours of free time. I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to go to work. And I don't feel like, studying, quote unquote. So I'm going to go ahead and read manga or watch anime or see what's new in the, streaming services.
Well, that's how I work, dude. It's like, for me, it's like, okay, I go to the gym because I'm going to work on my body.
Right. Because
that all in and of itself helps me to reinforce and like discipline my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I build the mind-body connection at the gym.
Right.
Like, it's so hard to talk about this with people because they don't see that part. I go, oh, I go to the gym all the time, and they just think, oh, this guy's a fucking gym junkie. You know what I mean? And
I think
like,
you're a gym rat.
Borderline, yes. At the same time, though, it's like I'm not doing it for like the physique, for the look. I've never have. It's always been to get stronger. And for me, strength is not just physical; it's mental. Like 9 times out of 10, it's more of a mental fight for me going to the gym than it is a physical fight.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's just how it is.
That's a fight I lose every day.
Like, so like that's me working on my mental fortitude and my body's, again, fortitude itself, right?
Right.
So that's just vitality and fortitude right there. I eat to maintain my health, right? Like, and I eat healthier shit. The other day I had a bag of chips, and which coworker? One of my coworkers was like, you're eating chips? I'm like, I could afford it. And he goes, fuck yeah, you can. I was like, I know.
Of course you can, yeah.
Oh, it was the owner of the bar I work at. He was like, are you eating chips right now? I'm like, yeah, I could afford to. And he goes, yeah, you really can.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could afford to eat all of these chips right now.
Right.
But I've only kept it to one. So
Right.
I'm
like I could eat a family-sized bag of chips and still maintain this 6-pack for like ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm over here. I tried keto over the break.
How'd that go?
So I couldn't do it. I would do Monday through Thursday keto, and then Friday through Sunday whatever I want to eat. But then it ended up backfiring because then it just became, while I'm up in the dorms, I eat basically the most bland and like I'll wake up at 9 and then I'll make it until around 10 p.m. and then I'll go, all right, might as well eat something. And it's always so bland and just, I hate it. I hate keto so much. And then I get home and Cassie's like, you want to order pizza? And I'm like, fuck yeah. And I'll eat all the calories I should have had in a week in those 3 days. I just go back. So no, it did not work for me because I didn't do it right. I can't. At the Halloween party, it was like, so you couldn't eat anything because he's on keto, and everybody brought like Italian food, and I brought ribs. Yeah, I brought barbecue ribs, and he was like, "Fuck yeah, I can eat." But yeah, no, you do like this is another thing about you, and I every time I wake up every morning and I think of you, because you are the guy that goes, I got a commitment to myself and to someone else to be here at this time. I gotta wake up. I gotta go. I swear to God, it's week 4, right, in school. I have class twice a week, so that's 8 meetings so far. I've missed 4 classes because they're at 9 a.m. and I wake up at 9. So they start at 9:30. I wake up at 9:48 and I go, well, I gotta get dressed and I gotta walk there. So I probably won't get there until around 10:15, which really means I'm only gonna be in class for like half an hour. It's not worth it. like that's me. I don't have that. You have that, and my God, that's me as I guess a borderline bisexual male now. I've been in a straight relationship for 9 years. Yeah. So, but as your best friend and as dude, my God, that makes you the most attractive motherfucking guy in the world. I could be with, if I lived here, Steve. If I lived here, I know I could depend on you to get me on track. Yeah. That's what. And I swear to God, every woman that meets you is probably seeing that shit too, and they're going like, if I get this man, I achieve my highest level of potential by taking a backseat ride. Like, let Steve have the wheel. I don't need to sit here and focus and muster up willpower. I can just let Steve figure it out. Like, I swear to God. Like whenever we do our little trips and we go places and everybody's like, all right, it's 9 a.m. Time to start our day. And I'm still always to be back like, yeah. You guys are there. You guys are like, come on, kiddo, we're gonna, let's meme?
Go. Come on.
Come on, you old cunt. We're going on an adventure. How about get fucked, mate?
That's the funny thing, though, is like, I think girls are trying to crack me like I'm a puzzle. I do think so, because like they try so many different things to see if it works, and I'm just like, the answer's so simple. Just be you. Just better yourself. Right. Focus on yourself.
The answer to solving the riddle and puzzle of Steve is don't solve the puzzle. Yeah. Just accept them because the puzzle's there, but the puzzle's already done.
Well, that's the thing is like people don't realize, like for me, once you choose an avenue, you can't go back because I've already seen you make that choice. Now you have to. It's like you can't go backtrack your line. All right, now you have to find a new way to get to this alternative answer. The puzzle's still there, but like you've just made the path that much harder for you now.
Exactly.
So like the people that I enjoy the most are the ones who just observe for the longest time because they're just like, this is too much commitment. I'm making a move. Like I'll just wait. You know what I mean? I'll watch. Let me see everyone else fail real quick. Okay, like hey, what'd you get for number 6? Like they, you know what I mean? People sharing on answers, and I'm just like, nah, like. Each person has their own like puzzle with me, and not everybody. I should be a teaching proctor. You know what I mean? Like, right. You get in test A, you get test B, you get test C, you get test D. Like you get. Yeah. No one in the same mindset has the same test with me. Right. Because I observe you. I observe. I just observe. That's all I do.
100%.
So I'm like, okay, like if you take girl A's mindset into this, you're gonna fail. Because you're not girl A, you're girl F, right. You're girl C, you're girl Q,
you're girl whatever, right? Yeah. Like I want you. This is again something that I learned from having you in my life. I was like, when I first met you, I was like, wow, look at this guy, right? 6-pack, like all these fucking things going for him, brilliant, all this bullshit, right? I was like, wow, I thought I had you figured out, and then cut to 4 years later. And I learned about your life, and I learned about who you are, and I went, oh, never mind. I don't think I actually had you really figured out until around 4 years, and even today you're still throwing curveballs.
That's the beautiful part about it is like people think they have me figured out off the jump, and I love it. Right. I love it so much because I'm like, oh, they think they know. Right. All right, we'll just run with this premise, like.
You got the big smile and the go-getter attitude. You got all this stuff. They're like, wow, I bet this person had an amazing childhood and all this stuff and like has money. And then he works at a bar probably because he has a bunch of money somewhere saved up so he can work at a bar. Then you learn and you're just like, oh no, he worked at a bar because he actually loves working at a bar. And you're just like, wait a second. He actually just found something he loves doing and he does it. That, by the way, that concept is so foreign to so many people. So many people. Like, it took me a good, how long you been working at the bar now?
2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
Man.
It took me a good couple of months for me to finally accept the fact that you're working at this bar and this isn't like a thing you're doing while you're figuring it out. No. This is like look at that. You got that sweatshirt made, right?
Yeah, my dad did.
Oh,
he was like, "Do you want this? Would you like a sweatshirt like this?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
I thought that was your bar sweatshirt.
This is a meme.
Oh, these are the bar shirts.
Those are shirts.
Anyway, it took me 6 months for me to really come to terms with. I was like, Steve's actually just really happy and loving his job. I guess he's here now. But then you took it and you were like, and then after I finally came to terms with that, you were like, yeah, now that I'm finally, situated at this place, time to start making a business. Like, you're like, time to start ramping this shit up.
I'm starting an empire.
Right.
Like, when I tell people that now, I'm like, that's how far. So like, we'll go back to what we were talking about just a little earlier. Right. We were like, oh, my roommates, they go back to their rooms and watch anime and this and that and manga.
One of them does.
I do all the time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is like, I'm sharpening my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm building myself to meet that imagination. People will just like read and consume their content to their heart's desires and just go, man, if only, man, I wish I could be like that. And I'm just like, okay, like, how do I be like that? Not right. I wish I can. Like, how am I going to be like that? It starts at the gym for me, right? Like, that's just how it goes. I'm like, all right, if I'm stronger, then I'd be on this guy's level where I can have that kind of attitude where he doesn't give a fuck. At the same time, he gives all the fucks in the world. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things.
Right.
Surface level, he just doesn't care about anything. But really, he's just in such a deep thought that he cares about everything.
Right.
You know?
Like it's like this. It's like a baseline. You care about everything baseline, but your baseline is like here. and here's my thing too.
That's true, right? Because like everyone else's normal baseline, they're like, so when I'm like below baseline, everyone's like, oh, okay. And when I'm above baseline, everyone's just like, what in the fuck?
Right. Like when you go above baseline, everybody freaks the fuck out because they're just like, what the fuck's happening? Like, this must be serious.
Well, that's the thing. They're like, he's going above and beyond, right? Here's the baseline. He's going above and beyond. What the fuck? I'm like, no, this is where I chill at, dude. Right. This is my vibe.
That is your vibe.
Yeah.
And then anytime, and what's wild about it is when you go past your baseline, people look at that. People are like watching. They're like, wait a second, what? Like when you like this bar idea, that the bar you're thinking about opening up, right? Are you still doing that or no?
So that's the whole thing. It's like I said, that's why it's an empire, right? I was like, and this is what I was getting to. Like, I've kind of figured out how sharp I want my imagination. I keep it limited to what I consume.
Right.
And it's one of those things for me now where I'm like, I have this idea, and it's been so prevalent for me now that I just tell people, not because I'm afraid they're going to steal it or whatnot, but I'm just like, no one else is getting to it. I'm working faster, harder, longer for this than anybody else. They won't beat me to this goal. So I'm just like, this is what I have in mind. And I call it a goddamn empire. You like try to imagine how big that is. You know what I mean? Like,
100%, right.
So I'm just like, all right, like no one else is putting in this much work. I've had people tell me, and they still do. So this used to happen when I was a bar back. They're like, you work too hard. And I'm just like, no, I don't. They're like, what? You don't work too hard? Dude, you're like, you're working way too hard. I'm like, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. Because if I compare myself to someone I know who works harder than me all the time, which is the guy who lives underneath me, not Satan, my dad.
Right, yeah.
That was a joke.
I know, I get
right? Really, yeah. But he works, dude, when he was not disabled, when he didn't have his like issues, like he was the hardest working man I'd ever met. And I'd ask kind of the same thing without asking that. I'd be like, why the fuck does this guy work so hard all the time? I come home from school, he's working. He drops me off, he's working. He'd pick me up from school. Where are we going? To his work. Like, he's always working, but
Right.
it never seemed like he was working. You know what I mean? I was just like, God damn. So anybody who told me I was working too hard, I was just like, y'all haven't met my dad, man. That fool works. Like, if it's not on the house, it's on the car. If it's not on the car, it's on, like, whatever he wants, like, his influence. Like, I'm just like, not even close.
Right.
And I'm like, if he's the only person in my own head right now that I know who outworks me. That's it. Everyone else, not
Hey,
even.
what about this guy? Nah, I'm just kidding.
But that's what I mean. Like, I'm like, anybody who tells me I'm working too hard, what they're telling me is that, like, you're working this hard, and everyone else is working this hard. Get back with normalcy. Like, no. Now that you said that, I'm gonna work even harder. I'm gonna separate that gap even further.
Right.
Because that just means one thing. I am almost I am getting closer to my dad's level and less to your guys' level. Because
Right.
I will never in my mind, as of now, ever think I can outwork this guy. Right now. But I'm
Right.
going to keep working harder until I get to that point where I can satisfy that part of my ego.
Right. And that whole mentality is so funny because my mentality is I know a lot of people on average work harder than me, right? I'm sitting next to two people here that work harder than me,
Yeah.
right? And what I hate about it is this. I'll be doing things for myself and I like school and everything, and I'll be like, man, I need to work harder. And so I do. I do work hard in school.
Yeah.
But it's always like a labor intensive thing. But then Cassie comes to me the other day and goes, yeah, I want to start a greenhouse. It'd be cool. And my mind didn't even think, oh, okay, we'll set up a little greenhouse somewhere and we'll grow things in. My mind was like, oh, so we're you remember Howl's Moving Castle?
Yeah.
You remember where the Archmage lived in that giant dome filled with animals and plants and everything?
I don't. But...
When Sophie goes to meet her at in the king's castle, remember, walks up all those stairs and then escorts her into a side room with all those plants.
Yeah.
It's a giant dome. Basically, the thing is like a zoo in itself.
Yeah.
My mind was like, okay, so we start with probably a 20 by 20 story building, right? So we'll probably need this many acres for it. Cassie's like, whoa, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, did you not? Is this not what you was? She was like, I thought we'd just start with a small greenhouse. I was like, oh, no. For you, my darling.
Yeah.
I will ensure you have your wildest dreams like achieved and yours.
Yeah.
Right. Me, on the other hand, and what I thought was hilarious about it was I was making all these plans and like figuring out the logistics to get this done and how much money it was going to cost. And Cassie was like, are we gonna live here or something? And I was like, no. This is so you can have all your little plants somewhere, and I can live in a completely modernized home.
Yeah,
with not a plant in sight.
So, I mean, I always tell you guys about this game. I keep it discreet because I'm not proud of the game I play.
Top one.
I love it. I fucking love that game because dude, that is where I build my mental the fucking most because I'm dealing with it's an MMO. Dealing with real people. At the same time, I'm like, what if they're computers? Like I have those second thoughts. So I'm like, I got to handle each situation different. Each person's going to have a different personality. Like, let's handle this. Like, But like for me, like since I've ever started playing it, my goal was to, like, it wasn't just like make myself the best. Like I do. At the same time, I'm going to take that and make the alliance that I'm in the best. I'm going to make the server that I'm in the best. I'm going to make the region that I'm in the best. Like,
right.
So it's like I internalize so heavily, it exudes externally, if that makes sense, right? Like I'm like, okay, work on myself so much that it just naturally occurs that I'm working on everything. You know what I mean?
Yes. Which is, again, one of your best qualities, but the only time I can even get close to how intense you go in basically any aspect in life is when, actually, no, I don't think I can. I don't think I have that capability. It's insane. Like, the only thing I can claim as a person that I've actually worked hard on, and I think you guys agree with me here, is school. And it's only because I haven't given up yet. So, like my whole thing is I am trekking my way through it, and that's the only redeeming quality I really have. Is you can say a lot of things about me. You can say I'm lazy.
See, no, here's the thing though, is like we're gonna have to go into the anime world a little bit because like that's straight up a Kazuma kind of vibe, bro. Like it is like you really just like starting really slow. You're like, I have to get through it. I'll take my time with it though. But you're progressively getting better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at least there's progression in that. You know?
100%.
So like you're going at a less intense pace, but you're just like, I'm gonna get there. I'll get there. Like
Right.
don't
I'm-
matter when.
Konosuba is my life.
Yeah.
like it showed up and they were like, we're going. I'm the guy. It's my life because I make dumb choices and then I just live with it.
Yeah.
like I didn't have to take a goddess with me. I could have had a badass superpower and I could have been set. And instead, I took this idiot, and that's me in computer science. I didn't have to do computer science. I could have done anything. I could have done anything. But instead, I chose computer science, and now I have. You know what's asked about that too? The biggest thing that's asked about it is I thought computer science was computer engineering.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be learning how to build computers and do things like working actually with computers. I didn't think I was going to be learning purely software development and then literally research and development.
Yeah.
They're expecting me. They're expecting me to do math for the
That's
rest of my
science.
life.
Science is math, bro.
I
Science is
genuinely
math.
so like apparently the engineering route is genuinely less math intensive because they're not expecting you to take it and then find a place to sit down for a couple years and then find a new way of doing math that is more effective and more efficient than what we have now. Like,
Well, here's the thing about sciences versus engineering, right?
Yeah.
They both deal with mathematics for sure. But science, like in and of itself, right? It stems from a mathematical foundation.
right.
So like physics is just a mathematics dealt with vectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you want to like what is the baseline unit of physics? Right?
Yeah.
That's the direction of math with physics, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gravity. What's gravity doing? Oh, it's applying force. Okay, so we're dealing with forces? Yes.
Right. What's the
We're dealing with
calculations
vectors
for
because there's direction? Yes. Okay. Now we're adding more variables to make physics more of a science where we can go, okay, we can numerically calculate, the gravity of the earth based on these principles, on these variables, on these. Same thing with chemistry, right? We deal with atoms. We deal with they go subatomic now, but like that was what the baseline was. Like,
Right.
look, we could take an atom here and another atom here, and if they get smashed together for whatever reason, now they're a molecule.
Right.
All right, this molecule is different from this molecule because of the variable applied to it. This is a C and this is an H, right? Carbon and hydrogen,
100%.
right? And then we'll go into biology, and that one's like, okay, now it's more
Like,
bodily functions,
right?
right?
Like how are cells replicating and doing what
Bio
they're
implies
doing.
carbon, so now it's like, okay, we've gone through the physics world because now we have a foundation of matter. Now we've gone to the chemistry world because we have a foundation of alchemy. Now it's biology because we've figured out that carbon is what carbon-based life forms, right?
Right.
So now it's in this realm of carbon. What affects the carbon in the air? What affects the carbon that surrounds us in our carbon-based life, right?
Yeah.
Oh, oxygen is a supplement. At the same time, in a wrong environment, it could oxidize, right?
Right.
So it's like one of those things. Now we're just throwing numbers at it to make it more and more numerical and easily calculable.
Right.
But
But
your baseline should be within this range and this range based on the biological makeup of an average human, right?
yes. But I genuinely thought, so if you look at most jobs, computer scientists end up having, the majority of computer scientists ends up being the developers, like application developers, software developers, stuff like that. But then you know me, I don't want to finish this and then come out of it and go, cool, I'm going to be, another cog in the machine, right? I want to take my skills and I'm going to do something with them. Like, I was sitting up here.
Unfortunately, when you go the route of engineering, you have to be a cog.
Yeah.
Because what an engineer does on the baseline in the most simplest of terms is problem solve. So when you're saying you're computer engineering, you're solving computer problems.
Right.
That's really it.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, scale that to however you want, right? Like electrical engineers scale it to usually a smaller degree because you're dealing with harder mathematical equations dealt with electricity, right? Electrician just sets it up for you.
Right.
Like, we're just going to run this wire here. Like, we understand that, the copper in the wires is what's conducting the electricity. But when we get to the brass tacks of it, we don't know, the fine details of it until you get to that level of.
Right. Until you start understanding.
Until
the
you
physics
literally
of it.
just understand electricity. And
Right.
it's not even about understanding, being an electrician or an electrical engineer. You just understand wholeheartedly the idea of how electricity works. And then you go, okay, now I could start becoming, what you want. Instead of working as a cog machine, you are the entire machine.
Exactly.
And you need cogs to be in your system, right?
But in order for me to get to where I am now to being that entire machine, it's just like, you know me, Steve. I'm not this guy.
Well,
I don't have, I don't want, I want it, you know me. I want to figure out the easiest and while also effective way to make a lot of money and then be lazy. But on the other hand, I also want to be somebody who matters. You know what I mean? Like I think it was you. I came up to you after I learned this. Uh, you know the different levels of like secrets or whatever they're called. So it's like there's top secret clearance level, and then there's 2 levels above top secret clearance level that you can get. Right? I want to be like, you know, level Q, where it's just like he knows things that they don't release to the public yet, and they're not going to release for like another decade.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy. But in order to get to that position, they don't let a lot of computer scientists.
Well, no, because like again, everything is a tool, so it's neither good or bad, right? Like there's inherently nothing's good or evil. It's the
Right.
people that use it, right? It's
Right.
the intention behind the usage of it.
Right.
So it's like it becomes one of those things. Like for me, if I had knowledge to top heavily secret things, like I have to be able to trust this person to either make the right choice with it, or at the same time is smart enough to know like how the implication of what that secret really means.
Right.
Right. So it becomes a thing of like it's a power check, right? You're like, I could only tell this secret to this person because I know if they blab it, they're the only other person that knows, and I didn't tell anybody.
Exactly.
So I could go straight for their head.
Right.
And I don't mean that in like, well, I can mean that however I want, right? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this guy just used this secret as a weapon of destruction. Okay, time to go take out the guy who's trying to use this as a weapon of destruction.
Time to get
And
this
then I
guy
have to
the fuck
clean
outta
up
here.
the branches that it's a headache, right? If
Right.
I tell someone a secret and I don't know, I can't trust them enough to keep it within themselves, and I need them to keep it within themselves, I'm not going to tell them. Because if they, like I said, if this goes full fucking supernova, like I have to not just stop them, but the chain that they sent it down.
Right.
Depending on how crazy big the secret is. You know what I mean? Like that's the magnitude of the secret really predicates like how many people know. That's what makes it a true secret.
Right.
You know?
And you know the only reason this is a sidebar, but the only reason I even went into looking into how to get a higher clearance level was because I wanted to work for Lawrence Livermore Research Facility.
Yeah.
You know what they did, right?
Mm-mm.
You know how they solved fusion? They finally solved fusion.
Mm.
So like I was like, oh, perfect. So now if I can get on that team that's working on fusion, I can be a part of like coursing the way to, you know, clean infinite energy for humanity and everything like that, right? I looked at it. The only jobs that they will actually hire anybody with a computer science degree is like, so there's the director, and then there's the few people under the director, and then there's the level underneath that.
Yeah.
And then that's where they would hire you, and you need top level clearance, and you gotta actually know physics on like not just computer science. That I was just like, I can't do it. But like, how do we even get here?
You were talking about secrets.
Right, but before that, anyway, it's basically you and I are people who, when we go for something, right? If we care about what we're going for, and we know our baseline won't cut it. When we do eventually put in that effort, everybody looks at us and goes, "Whoa, bro,
Yeah.
you're insane! Like this is a lot of work."
It's borderline, dude. It is insanity. Like,
yeah.
I was telling you, like, there's these 2 regulars that come in and they're really cool. They're really like, they're a good vibe. That's a good way of putting it. They're a great vibe. And one of them kind of figured me out for the most part, at least my surface level.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, you have a lot going on in there. And like, I do. She was like, I'm not sure I can, like,
Handle
I don't,
that.
yeah, no, legit. She was like, I don't know if I can handle that much that goes on in there. And I'm like, no, because I sometimes lose that battle with myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm battling all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those things where I'm just like it is insane. Like the level of insanity in my head is crazy, but I'm able to keep that within. I'm able to maintain that peace. Like I don't let my insanity get the better of me.
Right.
But I know I'm insane. Like I just know it. Like I'm just really good at keeping it in check, right? It's like that Naruto, like I have that Nine Tails beast in me,
Right.
but I have it caged up. Like like we're on pretty good terms, if anything. You know what I mean? Like I have that like, yo, you and me are homies out.
Right.
You used to kill me. You used to try to fucking wreck me, but now we're working together on a bigger goal.
I'm just Naruto like you standing there with your arms crossed, but instead of the nine-tailed fox behind you, it's just a giant ass whiteboard. All your ideas on it. Like
That's it though. Like low key.
No, 100%.
Low key. Like that's my demon. Like
that is like. Here's the thing about you and Cassie. You guys have this thing. You guys are different because you are more. You do like number theory, chaos theory. You understand business. You understand art. But you that's your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like your Cassie's on the other hand is completely nature based. Like she doesn't. You know me. My mind has now been tailored to be purely logical if it can help it, right? Like I don't make illogical choices as much anymore because my brain just can't wrap around it anymore. So,
well, have you seen No Game No Life?
Yes.
So the whole idea of that, from my perspective, the main character has more of a nature to it.
Yes.
Right? Because like they were playing a computer game. They were playing chess on a computer against what they thought was a computer at first.
Yes.
So the sister represents logical thinking.
Right.
Like it's just logic. She is low key an AI.
Yeah.
Right? Like they did. If you've ever seen the prequel to it, where it was like full blown war and everything like that, and it wasn't like just on a premise of a game.
Yeah.
Like she was what's the right word? She was an AI.
Yeah.
Like literally, like their soul companions or their soul travel went from like AI body to this now.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's like the moment she had to stop was when the game became illogical.
Yeah.
Right? Because that chess player made a move that a computer would not make. All right, switch back to the nature in you. Right? For me, I do the same thing. And the easiest way I can tap into that is I just believe everything has a soul. Right. I don't have a religious backing on anything. Like, I don't claim Catholicism. I understand its practice. I've been in it that's been the longest of practices that I have been in terms of religion. Yes. So I understand it really well. It's a branch off of Christianity. It's a branch off of Catholicism. Catholicism is a branch off of Christianity, which branches off from like Muslim and Judaism. They all branch up the same tree. Mm-hmm. But it all comes down to the premise of a soul. Yeah. That one just devises it to like, okay, I could justify my actions because only humans have souls, right? That's why we can cut up cows and not feel bad about it.
Right.
If you think of everything having a soul, that's like the basis of animism. Everything has a soul, then you look at things differently. Now, for me, I just like I thank everything. That's it. Like I don't go up to like a table and I'm like, thanks, table.
Right. Thanks for
but like
me.
In how I use it, in the care that I provide this, like that's how much I want to appreciate the soul of this table, right? And this is how I can justify this too, right? Someone made this table. Someone put their hard-earned like money into making this table. Yes. Whether it was machine made or human made, right? So we go to the machine route. Someone had to be able to buy that facility to create these machines and create a warehouse to make this table.
Right.
So someone from the highest pedigree has put their soul into this table.
Right.
By association. You know, if someone made it by hand, then literally someone is putting their soul into this table, because if they didn't want to make the table, they wouldn't have made the table.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the easiest way for me to just be like, oh, you know, like, man, this table was made really badly. Like, this guy did not put a lot of soul into this table.
Man.
So, like, not that I don't want to treat it better, but it's like, you know, I accept it for what it is. Like, oh, this side fell down and dropped my whole food on the floor. Like, all right, I'm not too happy with this table. So, like, I'm not going to scorn the guy who made it, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm not too appreciative of the soul he put into this table.
You and Cassie, you guys actually think about that the same way. I feel bad because I'm always like this pessimistic asshole when people bring that up. Because Cassie does the same thing, right? With trees and nature and everything, right? You know the mycelial network? You know what that is?
Explain it.
So, in most forests, especially old growth forests,
Go ahead.
It's mushroom networks.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought.
But so in old growth forests, mushrooms have been able to grow for hundreds of years, right? So now it's at this point where scientists have actually now been able to determine that a full forest is connected entirely throughout it's from the the tree that borders a plains to the tree in the center of the forest, it's all connected through a mycelial
Yeah, it's a network.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a huge network. And now you guys do that. You guys are all like, well, Cassie sees that. It goes, well, so how do you know trees and everything aren't alive? And I'm like, well, I'm sure they are alive. But I'm that asshole that's just like, but it's all about means working towards an end for me. It's always like that. So I don't pay the same respect or homage to things that like you guys do because you guys respect it.
Well,
you
it
guys
doesn't negate my usage of it.
It doesn't.
It just really just shapes the mindset.
Right.
Really, because like, okay, we both have to chop this tree down. I'm not gonna go, oh, it has a soul. I gotta hug it now, and like,
Right.
I gotta love this tree.
You're not gonna drop to your knees and be like, "Thank you, tree." For
Yeah.
all that you
No,
do.
I don't have to do that. For
Right.
me, it's like, no, as I'm chopping the tree down, my brain's already going through this process of like, oh, dude, like this was a tree. I'm gonna do everything I can to get the best uses out of this tree.
Right.
I'm going to respect its soul that much. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
but my actions aren't gonna change. I'm still chopping them. I'm still swinging the axe. You know what I mean? I'm still swinging that axe down on it. And I'm just like, don't worry. Like, I have better intentions for you. And sometimes they don't work out, but my intentions were clear. So the soul doesn't get like, to me, that soul doesn't get disrupted or corrupted or messed up because like my whole intention was that. And it becomes this otherworldly kind of view where it's like, if this wasn't allowing me to happen, there would be a lot of forces in this world that would stop me from doing what I'm doing.
Right.
I am chopping this tree. Maybe a bear scares the shit out of me. Maybe a bear comes to attack me. That could have been a sign of like, no, not that tree. Okay.
Right. Maybe move on.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it wasn't maybe it wasn't the time for this tree.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I compartmentalize it, so it doesn't seem like I'm just like full blown nature. But it's like a blend, right? Because I mean, you know this better than anybody. I have a very logical brain.
You do.
But then that's how I blend the nature in there. So it's like this like within this core, like there's a natural part and this logic part that just has like a good chaotic harmony to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again, it brings me back to the whole thing where it's like I look at how you have that and I go, man, that is something I definitely could use.
Yeah.
However, I also look at, again, this is me looking at it from a logical perspective. When I see something, I don't go, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where they are. Well, I do that, but like I don't look at it purely from like, okay, let me take that first step to start getting things done. And this is what cripples me, mentally anyway, from like actually achieving the most I could achieve, is because my brain goes, all right, I gotta chop this tree down. Well, if I chop the tree down, this is how much wood I'm probably gonna have. So let me make sure I understand how much wood I'm gonna have, and now I have to plan out and make sure I have every single thing set up, so that way when I get the wood, I use it appropriately. And when that all happens, I go, it's not worth it. I'll just buy a table, right? But you have this mentality where it's just like you don't look at it like, okay, I'm gonna have the wood, I'm gonna make a table, and then I'm gonna make a side table, and then some chairs, and then a house, and blah 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 blah. You go, I'm gonna chop the tree down, I'm gonna make the first thing, and then I have all this wood left.
Yeah.
All right, I have that wood now. Now I'm gonna make sure that wood gets used.
Right. Exactly it. It's one of those things too. But that's where the logic comes in. I'm like, okay, to preserve as much of this tree, or to not produce as much waste as I want, now I have to go stupid calculating on it.
Right.
Okay, if I take this much chunk, that leaves only a little bit of waste, instead of like, oh, let's take a chunk of this tree, let's take a chunk of this part of the tree. Now I've only made like one good table, and the rest of the tree is just
scrap.
You're like, okay, what do we have to do with this now? Like, we can't do much. I'm just like, okay, well, we wasted a lot of this soul. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The potential that this tree could have been was, yes, the quality of one table, amazing, but we could have, if we dropped that quality a little bit, we could have made 10 tables.
Right. And so me and Cassie together make that one mindset that you have.
Yeah.
Because I'll grab something like I don't know what the best analogy really I would have, but we'll make something and I'll go, okay, this is the easiest way we can make it, and then we'll do it, and then we'll be left with a bunch of scrap, and I'll go, cool, throw it away, get rid of it. Guys will go, well, no, we can still use all this stuff, and we just have to be more creative with it. You know me, creativity is not my strong suit. I have little to no creativity.
Which is really interesting, because like you watch and you read and you consume the most like imaginative content.
I do, but I don't do it this is how it is. So I'm reading this book right now. I told you about it, Wandering In, and
Right.
I talk to guys all the time. I was like, man, if I got into that world. But here's the issue: if Cassie got into that world, Cassie wouldn't be bound by really anything that she was doing before she came into that world. So the main character, all she really was good at was chess. She showed up, she found an inn, and then she was like, okay, well, guess what? Guess I'm running an inn now. But because she played chess, right? Running that inn is takes on a much bigger concept because now she's not going at it as a business owner or somebody running it in. She goes, okay, perfect example. There was an adventuring party that came in. They were friends of hers, but a lot of them died in this whole thing. So they're trying to restart the party with no money, no equipment, and nothing. All they have is a map to potentially really valuable stuff. So she gives them a loan. She's like, cool, you'll pay me back someday. It'll be fine. So they come back from the thing and they're like, all right, so these are what we got from the thing. Do you want us to take the money or take these things, make money, and then give you back the money you made us plus interest, or what? And she goes, what's that door there? The door works basically like a teleportation thing. You open the door, you can go to wherever another crystal is, right? It connects 2 points to the one door. She goes, I'll take the door. You don't have to pay me back anything else. And they're like, that makes no sense. Why does an innkeeper need a door that connects 2 points to one place? And she goes, well, because I want it and it's fun. And then she takes it, and then next thing you know, she's no longer just an innkeeper. She's, fronting relief foundations for cities burned by war. She's like bringing medicine to across the continent. Like, she's doing all that stuff. I don't have that. Cassie, she could go into that world. She'd be like, I'll just be creative and I'll bring my creativity into this world. And things will happen. Every time I think about if I went in that world, I just go, I know computers. I know computers. I'll make computers.
Okay.
But that's it. That's not being creative. That's just me taking what I know and going, okay, I could just do this more. You know what I mean?
But what does that see? And this is where we differ in mindsets. It's like, okay,
we differ in mindsets in many ways.
Well, this is a big one, right? Because you go, okay, I'm only making computers. What can that really do? All I'm doing is making computers. But at the same time, like, what if, like, look what computers have got. Look how far we've gotten with computers now.
100%.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, yes, you are just making computers. At the same time, like, this person with the computer now has tapped into their creativity. You just tapped in. You just by proxy have to let someone tap into their more of an imagination for them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you go, okay, how can I make this better? How can I make this computer better? It needs, more processing power. Okay, because this guy can only do, like, look at what he did with this. Like, if we up the processing power, if we up the RAMs, if, the graphic quality was that much better, like,
right.
Like, imagine the things this guy create. Now, you bipartisan have just invested in someone who is investing in a imaginative story or imaginative idea.
Right.
That you have, like, your hands in. Because the moment you go, okay, I want all my computers back, recall, send them back. Now he loses every ounce of tapping into that, like, creative potential that the computer allowed him to access.
Right.
So that's the difference. Like, that's the real difference. Like, you're seeing it as you just being a computer, like a computer maker.
Right.
That's it. But the possibilities outside of yourself that tap into this imagination, right? Because then you also have to imagine, how can I make this guy's program be what he is envisioning it?
How can I bring other people's imagination into this?
This guy wants better graphic quality. How can I make that a possibility for him? Now you've already tapped into, like, creativity, imagination, because you're like, you have to, if you're the computer maker, you have to understand how you can allow someone to be able to, right? You don't have the micro skill sets to do it yourself. But if you build, like, the system for them to be able to do it in, then you have also tapped into that, because you said, I see the possibility he sees.
Yeah.
Here are your tools. Go.
Yeah, that's the best I could. But see, like, and I completely agree with that. You and I are on the same page here. But that's the best I can really bring up. Like, with Cassie and
but that's
with
infinite,
you,
bro.
I know that's
because
infinite, but it's not.
Just like a computer network, right? Because we've only just focused on one guy. Imagine 20 people on it, and they go, "Hey, like, I saw what you did with." We'll go to like KidPix. I saw what you did with KidPix. Look what I did with KidPix. Like, oh shit, I didn't know we could do it like that. How'd you do that? Now this connection is made. Now a network is here, and they've created something together that's better than what, or different, better or worse, right? Well, I'm gonna run with his help and make this thing that inquired his help. Now I'm gonna take his help completely without him knowing it. I'm gonna make something off to the side to see if we could tweak it even more.
Right.
Now I'm gonna do it without his help. Now I'm gonna do it with just only his help. These are all the branches that we created from this network.
Right, but like
now we have 20 networks, and now they're connecting all the time. Now the exponent of imagination grows to this level where now we have anime, dude. Now we have people who are like fantasizing stories and are able to draw it out, are able to animate it out. You know what I mean? Are able to cosplay it out.
I mean, but and again, it's all fine and dandy, but like I hear people like you who are like, I'm building an empire, and I want to have that, but it's just. I don't know. Like, look at it. When my mind goes to, oh, look at that Steve. He's creating an empire. My mind still goes, oh, that's just like,
No one wants to do it, though. That's why.
I know.
That's why I want to, like, I'm okay with, and that's why I said I'm okay with saying something like that. It's fucking profound. It's profound to hear.
It's a lot of work.
Especially if you realize that I'm serious.
I know.
It's not even a thing of, like, let's make an empire. Like, no, like, let's make a goddamn empire.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you really don't have to hear my like seriousness or like the inflection of my voice to know that I'm serious when I say it, And the reason why I'm not afraid to say it is because I know no one else wants to do this.
Right.
No one else wants to put in the work that it takes. That's why people tell me I'm working too hard. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, y'all don't see the bigger picture.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all are very, and I mean, and not attack on anybody in specific, but like small-mindedness, like. No, I have to have a small mind. Don't get me wrong, because I have to connect with the people who also keep their think of it like a pool, like a dive pool, right? Like you can only take someone as far as they're gonna allow you to before they have to go back for another breath of air.
Right.
Right. For me, I could dive all the way to the bottom and back. I do laps. You know what I mean? Like that's just me. But the moment I take someone with me, I have to go at their comfort level, or else they snap. You know what I mean? They're like, "Nah, fuck this. Like that's crazy." I know, because I can go deeper. I'm crazier.
God knew what he was doing when he made you look like this. God, because take that same mentality and put it into like a white man, you have a very different set of problems. But
it's not even the color though; it's just the mindset, right?
It's the mindset. It's like you get what I'm saying.
It's what like a white. I mean, the generic white person mentality that shapes that mind. Sure.
Right.
I mean, I don't.
Well, no. What I mean is this. It was like if you would have been. I guess I don't have a really good way of saying this, but like take Martin Luther King for example, right? And I'm not trying to compare you to Martin Luther King, but it's like that whole thing of like you have a dream, you're gonna commit to that dream, you're gonna bring that dream to reality. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you're sitting on an empire, right? Take a white person, do the same thing. You get an empire, but then you get like all this other random backlash. But now you take just you as you are, and you make an empire. Now you're not bound by all these stereotypes and opinions that people have due to all these other, like due to status and play. You are in the perfect position to build whatever grand empire you could ever dream of and have people go, this is a hardworking man that brought his visions into reality. Now, I do the same thing. Probably, get the same result. But because of my, what's the word? Not nature, but attitude towards things, people will go, fuck this guy. They would. If I was like, I'm making an empire, people would be like, okay, let's build an empire. Even if I made it, even if I got the whole empire started, I'd be like, good. Now figure it out. I'm taking my bag and I'm leaving. Like people would be like, nah, fuck you, guy. Like you're gonna build like if I built Apple, if I was fucking Steve Jobs, oh my god. Cancer? If cancer would have gotten me, I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed because I would have made that money. I would have retired, would have had a big house, would have had everything. Would have everything I dreamed of. And then people would have been mad because they would have been like, so what's going to happen with Apple? What's going to happen? I would have been like, fuck if I know. I'm done. you're gonna be standing at the top of your empire and be like, we have dreams, visions. We're going to expand. We're going to grow. And I'd be there sitting, watching you, going, wow, Steve, I'm retiring.
See, that's the thing is like I wrote this down earlier. I was like, a dynasty is dependent on a who. Right, because like the Qin dynasty, that's a name associated to that dynasty. An empire is associated on like a starting location. Right. Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire, the British Empire.
Byzantine Empire, British Empire. Right. So it's not a place. It's not a matter of like. It's just spreading an influence. If you don't like that influence, get the fuck out. Like no offense.
That's right.
But it's one of those things. If the empire didn't start, it's because that my influence was obviously not catered to this environment, right? Like no one wanted to take my idea of an empire and be like, yes, let's run with this and spread it across. Like no. So it's one of those things. Like it's harmless,
right?
Until it's not. And then that's the thing is like the reason why I'm so slow on building it up and like I'm working on all of the foundational components now, which is the longest part of the whole process, is because once we start putting building blocks down, it's not like, oh, look at this is a rocky foundation. We have to now like either tear it all down or we have to make these weird ass little like construction moves to really make this thing work. And it's like, no, like let's just rip the fucking floor out from everybody else, start on a flat surface, build the foundation the way it should be. That way when we start building up, there's no integrity loss. Like, and I mean, that's intention, right? Like my integrity in this idea isn't like, I don't even have to tell people like, you know, I'm building an empire and they go, like Star Wars Empire? No, I don't think anyone ever like. I haven't told many people this, but I think the people I did, they didn't go, what, like Vader? You know, like Star Wars kind of empire where we're gonna have to rebel. Like no,
you're not gonna like rule with an iron fist. Well, I really wish you would read this book because you would find out some of the characters really interesting. There's this one character basically has the same mentality as you. His name is King of Destruction Floss. Now. Is he a bad guy? No, he's not a bad guy. But his whole thing is there's an inherent difference between people like I don't know what's a good term. All right, I'll just break it down like this. So he's learning about our world, blah blah blah. Right. It gets to Winston Churchill. They get on the topic of Winston Churchill. Now, as a leader, Churchill did a lot. Right. I don't know what he did. I don't know anything about Winston Churchill. But he did a lot. Now, Floss hears this and he goes, nah, he's bullshit. And he goes, why? He goes, well, because as a leader, he shouldn't be stooping so low to do things. Because there was that whole comment, that joke he made, that famous joke where it's all like, I'll wake up tomorrow and be sober and you'll still be ugly. Yeah. All right. And he hears that and goes, guy's a piece of shit. If he's going to really run an empire, he should be doing it right. Yeah. Right. And so now there's like, that's you. You remind me of that character so much. I don't have what it takes to be a king. There's another character, actually. His name is Lakin. He showed up in the world, and what he did was, and he's a blind guy. What he did was he was like, well, I'm in a new world. I have no idea what I can do here. So I guess I'm going to just become an emperor. Like he literally, because there's this story of the emperor of the United States. You know that guy? So there's this story. And it's a small story. Some people know it. There was a guy in America, and he came from San Francisco, and he declared himself emperor to the United States. And it wasn't like he achieved this title, and they were like, you know, like, oh, okay, he is the emperor, and so now there's the president, and then this random guy. Yeah. But people thought it was hilarious, so they followed him. So people genuinely were like, they called him the emperor of the United States. And so he went around like that, just doing that whole thing. And when he died, on his tombstone, they put so-and-so Emperor of the United States. Wow. Took the same mentality into that world. And guess what happened? He got the class Emperor. Yeah. Now, no one, this entire world, you have this entire world full of people, full of classes, full of everybody doing things, right? That's the one fucking guy that showed up and went, I'm gonna be emperor. And it turns out it's the reason why it works for him is because there's a mentality to it that you need to achieve first before you can actually gain that class. And he had that mentality.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you have to think about it on every level of. Again, I have to bring it back to the game I play. Right? There's different people play at each their own. You could be
Right.
free to play,
You
which
got passive
you're gonna
player
be the
and-
weakest player, but you're
Still playing
you're
the game.
investing a lot less into it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and anything up. How can I be someone that even to like the bottomest of levels to highest of levels look up to in a good light? In a good light, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I want. I don't want anything happening. Like I don't want a Julius Caesar situation. I think about these things. I know my empires pretty well. I know which ones that are worth studying. I know which ones that weren't, right? Again, the Julius Caesar, the whole Roman Empire, like he did a great job. But the problem was is like his whole like aristocracy was on some greed fuck shit.
Right.
Where they were like, okay, like he got us here. Let's take him out now. We
Right.
don't need him here anymore.
Which is why I say so, and then that brings me back to the book again. So the Emperor King of Destruction, right? He has the same issues, right? He conquered the entire continent he comes from, and blah blah blah. But people follow him, and they follow him not because he is simply their king, but because he's a good person.
Yeah.
On top of all that, they look up to him. Everybody, from the highest of the high to the lows of the lows. Like at one point, they talk about the book, and he's pulling an Alexander the Great, where he pretends to be a regular person and goes and then
Undercover bosses his own empire.
Right, undercover bosses his own empire, but he never reveals himself to the people. So he's
That's
in the bar.
That's like a Marcus Aurelius thing, like the Stoicism. Like when I'm amongst the people, I am part of the people. Like that's how it goes. Like I'm not gonna be like, I do that at my own bar. Like I don't ever pull the bartender card for like any bad. I tell people I work there because I love working there.
Right.
I'm like I love this place. I
Right.
work here. I'm a bartender, but I'm not like. It's not like a flex. It's not like, yeah, I'm the bartender.
Right.
Oh,
Be nice to me, or
yeah.
else I'll pull my influence.
You disagree with what I'm saying? Well, I bartend here, so what's up? Like, no, I don't ever flex like that. Because if I can handle it on a civilian level, I will. Because I don't need to have like that power check. I don't need to check anybody with power like that.
Right.
Like there's no reason for that. If I can handle this with civility, then like power will never matter. So whoever we put up there, like the person that if I'm building an empire, like then I don't have to be like, okay, hey, you can't do that because I'm emperor and I said so. Like I don't even have to go through that legwork. By the time it gets to me, if it's that big of an issue, it's like, okay, well, we can work down this chain and figure out exactly where it went wrong.
Like, bro, please, book 5, first 3 chapters. Just listen to it.
And the book is called?
It's just called The Wandering Inn.
Oh,
book
okay.
5. First 3 chapters, and you're gonna hear this. You're gonna hear about the character of Floss,
Mhm.
and you're gonna see so many parallels in your mentality, which is so weird because, like, again, if there was a sane way to go about saying the things you are saying, I would love to hear it. Because me here now, I'm like, look at the cut of this guy's jib. Coming up here saying he's gonna run an empire, he's gonna grow. I believe it though.
Yeah.
I believe it. I trust. If I was ever gonna follow anyone in life, I love you, Vanille, but it's gonna be you. Like I can't follow no. If I had to if somebody was like, you can follow anybody of your choice throughout history, it'd be Steve. It'd be Steve. Because if it was anyone else, they don't know me. 1, 2. If it was anyone else, look at how everybody else does things. It's like my boss once said, and I carry these words to this day. Any project you do, whether it's in life, work, or just personal, right? 90% of your job comes from making sure the foundation is there, and then 10% of it is actually getting it done.
Yeah.
Right. That one mentality has taken anyone who's ever wanted to accomplish anything to the greatest heights we've ever achieved. Right. Martin Luther King. I'm not gonna bring up Gandhi because there's a lot of weird backlash with Gandhi now. You guys notice that, by the way? Like this is way. I don't personally vibe with it.
Yeah, I had a friend tell me about that.
I have a whole issue with it because I'm just like, y'all can't do that. You can't have somebody go ahead and be like, yes, I liberated India from the British Empire. I sought for peace and I did all that stuff. What? I missed the first part. You said he did what?
It's because of it's not the first part where he liberated from the British. It's
Yeah.
because of the partition between India and Pakistan. It's led to more wars than it would have if we just stayed together.
Okay, yeah, but like not every single one of your shots are gonna hit. No. Real talk, real talk. Imagine, listen, it's Psy. Remember when he made Gangnam Style? Everybody's like, "Fuck yeah, Gangnam Style, fuck with Gangnam Style, fuck yeah." And now it's like, all right, now we're waiting on him to make his next song. Oh, it's gonna be banger! Oh, I'm so excited. And he came out with that next song, and it flopped. And everybody came at him, and he had to go on Twitter, and he was like, "Listen, it's nearly impossible to make two masterpieces back to back. So if you're gonna be Gandhi, listen, you can go ahead and be mad at Gandhi and call him a piece of shit or whatever you want like that, but be objective about it. People are too serious about it. They're like, well, yeah, because you can't just take the you know how fucking it's like if America went, you know what, from now on, fuck green dollar bills. I want blue dollar bills. Everybody who has dollars, everybody who has money.
What country is this?
This is India.
Oh, I was like, because the U.S. went from green to blue.
Did we really?
Oh, the Benjamins are blue now.
Yeah, but they just printed new Benjamins, and then they said, right, like, because who would they put on the dollar bill? I don't know Indian history, right? Like, they could probably put, I don't know. I feel like that'd be that whole. Then it gets into a religious issue, but like they can put cows. Cow? They can't. No, they can't. So I don't know. Anyway, regardless, he did great things in his life. Then towards the end, he kind of pulled a Voldemort. But like, I'm sorry.
I think it's just because there's during those times he only put out positive stuff, so none of the negative stuff he came out until
Right.
Like,
What?
I mean, that was like that episode of Rick and Morty, where the Jelly Bean King.
Oh, where he tries to molest Morty in the bathroom or whatever?
Yeah, and then like the cold cut was like, like, holy shit. Like, just bury it with him. Like, don't let that go out to the public. Let's let remember him as the king he was.
Right.
Not the dirty secrets he had.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't agree with. I don't agree
No,
with that.
I don't
But at the
agree
same
with
time,
it.
that sounds like what we're like talking about at this point.
But I don't agree with it either, right? Yes, please make, if Gandhi's going to be...
But here's the thing, like, learn from their good and, or like take away their good and learn from their bad.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, what did he do good? All right, I'll take that. And what did he do bad? I will learn and not make that same mistake.
Right.
Easy.
But too many people are coming out here, when people are like, oh yeah, you got to be like someone like Peace. It's like you almost can't say Gandhi anymore because everybody goes, well, look at everything else he did. I was like, no. He did one really good thing. Learn from that. And then, when he tried on, to do the whole Pakistani and Indian thing, he fucked up.
So here's the thing, and this was a conversation I had with my lifting friend. And he was saying, like, peace. Well, I'll take it to more of a perspective from me at this point before I tie him in. But, like peace implies war. Right? When we're at a state of peace, that means that there can be a state of war. It's a duality, right? Oh, we're at peace right now.
Right.
That means at some point, doesn't matter when, there could be a potential of there being war.
Right.
Right. So having like eternal peace sounds utopic, but at the same time, it implies dystopia, right? Because if peace is the utopia, war is the dystopia. That's the implication.
That's what
we have to know that both exist, and we have to make them both on the best sides of what they can be. Again, it's a yin and yang idea, right? There's a black cloud, and inside that's a white dot, and then we have the inverse where it's a white cloud with a black dot,
right?
And those things move. It's like finding that harmonic balance where they're always in synchronicity is what we search for.
Right. Like it's because you said it best. It's all a duality, right? So when you have
everything's a duality.
Everything is a duality.
Because again, we could take this. We could go, okay, if peace implies war, that's its own concept. It's a set, right? Peace and war are a set. But now we could choose peace and war or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I would rather have nothing, quite frankly. I could be cool with nothing. I mean, if I'm not getting shanked,
But here we go. Here's the art of war. What is war?
I've never read the Art of War.
But what is war? To you, what is war?
That's a complicated answer. Because, my thing is...
No. Like, break it down to as simple as you can get it. Like to
Simple
you,
as I
when someone
get.
says they're going to war, right? I'm gonna go to war with, right? Let's wage war on, what did the presidency do? Let's wage war on drugs,
Okay, so then
right?
right.
Like that's a whole different concept from going, okay, the U.S. has just waged war on blah blah blah,
Blah, blah,
or blah 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 just waged war on this other country. You know what I mean? Like, but that word is still used in both senses. What does war mean to you?
War
Like
to
when
me,
you hear the word war, what do you think?
it means a bunch of people are honestly throwing their weight around to cause problems where they don't need to cause problems. That's what I think war is, because it's never. I mean, at least in my lifetime, and my small amount of actual studying I've done, I've never actually seen a war other than the Civil War that has mattered. Or okay, so what I mean
Okay,
is
so
this.
perfect
No, no,
example
no.
though. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
Okay.
Civil War, right? So like, what were they going to war for? The South wanted to annex themselves from the U.S. They wanted to go. No, now we're two different countries.
Oh, is that what was happening?
Well, I mean, the whole we always talk about the reasons as why, right? And how why did the two country why did the country separate into two? It was on these ideas, right? We know which ideas we're talking. Like it was
I purely thought the Civil War was fought because half of the country was like, fuck yeah, slaves, and the other half of the country was like,
exactly
nah.
though, right? So that's the whole split, right? You're telling me the reason,
Yeah.
but it still creates a division.
Right.
Right? Because it goes, okay, we're cool with the idea of slaves, and the North was like, we're not, and we're one country. We have to be on the same page on this. And they went, no, we don't. We're not doing this. And we went, okay, let's go to war, and let's no, that's not an option, right? They went, no, we're just gonna say we're good. We're gonna keep our slaves, and the North went, no, humanity. We have to fight this war,
That's fair.
right?
Yeah. Like, because then, yeah, because now my point, now what I said, yeah, I get, yeah. Because,
So like literally, it's two bodies going. I choose this, and I'm like, I choose this, and they conflict. Okay,
Yes.
can we find something of, can we find a way to mend this? Well, I'm very adamant about this. Well, I'm very adamant on not that. Okay, well, I'm gonna go do my thing, and it's like, no, because that still does not compromise. Like we have yet to
Yeah.
collaborate on anything.
That's
So
fair, yeah. So then,
if you take one step forward, I have to stop you, right? Okay. Then do it. Okay, I'll have to make that move. I took the step. Now what? Now we're playing chess, right? I made the first move. Now it's your turn. Let's see how this goes.
yeah, you're changing my entire opinion of war now. It's like my mind, initially I thought,
I'm not a condoning. I don't condone wars. I don't.
You
Unless
n-
they're fought for the right reasons.
Yes.
There's always
100%.
right. Because again, I take it to the small scale. Like I'm like, okay, every time I go to the gym, I'm going to war with myself. Because there's always a part of me that's like, I don't want to lift that weight. It's heavy.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, no. Like, you either lift that weight or we're going to war. Like, I go to war with my own mental state. Because mentally, I'm like, you don't want to do this.
Right.
But I'm like, no, I have to fight this one. This is a war worth fighting. And guess what? When I do, I usually succeed because, I'm putting everything in this war against myself.
I lose those wars every day, as you know. I think though, and then I'll try to get back on what I was initially trying to say, but like, it's war is honestly I don't know, because war is many ways an atrocity across our planet, and like it's what so many of us believe will be truly our downfall, right? Because none of us can learn to just kind of get along and accept each other. But again, you can't have people get along and accept each other when there are things that are blatantly wrong and things that I wouldn't say are blatantly right, but like that are just less wrong. You know what I mean? Because like naturally you would think we would go towards the less wrong option, but that, like you said, isn't always the case. Like with the South and the North, slavery was wrong. Slavery was bad, and I can say that really because I had to learn all of Black culture, and I had to learn all of Black culture because I'm Black. Basically, I can say that because I'm Black. But again, even like going off of what my initial idea of what war is, which is two people messing with each other when they don't need to mess with each other, that's wrong. That statement is now wrong because clearly slavery needed to end, but if we didn't mess with each other, it wouldn't have come to an end. But we had to mess with each other, so it had to be war. So now it's just like, I guess so. Like, I guess war to me is the conflict of two ideals where where
there's-
one will be on top and the other will lose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way I see it again is like two bodies who are at conflict, and there's no impasse.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing we can do to mitigate this problem. Like, if you're gonna keep doing what you're doing, and you say you're gonna keep like, if from what I'm seeing, you're gonna keep doing what you're doing, and you're not planning on changing it anytime soon, and it's starting to affect me, we're going to war.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
Yeah.
that's how the buildup for it for me is like, okay, like let's try and avoid that option as far as possible. Oh, we can't. That's the only option we have left. All right, let's go.
Fair enough.
Right.
But going back to what I was saying, right? When you look at these leaders that like decided to take their ideals and their dreams and just run with it, you know what I mean? Like, I guess you could put Putin down there, but it's not a good example. My issue right now is I'm trying to think of like good examples of leaders that took a dream and ran with it and saw it come to fruition. But my issue is I can only think of black leaders, and I don't want to be that guy. Because I'm on the top of my head, I can think of Martin Luther King and Obama, Nelson Mandela, which is another black guy, or African. There's a weird thing about like African people and black people. Like black African people don't like black people.
Yeah, I know. Because the culture, it's not a color thing.
Yeah.
It's never been. It's a cultural disparity.
Right.
Right.
Like Muslims who aren't Arab, they don't claim you. Like if you're in the Middle East and you're like Muslim, you're like a different Muslim than if you're like anywhere else.
Right. And so it's
You're not like original.
right. Like you. And I heard when I found that out, I kind of was just like, great. Looks like I'm never going to Africa now, which is something I've wanted to do. But again, I know.
People who want to like find their roots and all that stuff. I'm sure they're welcome.
I mean, Akon like helping Kenya still. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's,
but Akon was African.
Yeah.
He's actually flat African.
but I mean, like that would be a way in. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Akon, I see what you're doing for the people of Africa. I want to be a part of that. Like, I know I don't have like the cultural know-hows that you do, but I want to be around these people because I want to help them, and hopefully that'll help me understand my culture better.
Right. Like actually, I have a family friend / just family member. I don't really know where the separation between
I
our
don't know if it
families
was
is.
Kenya. That was just a guess, but
Kenya is the go-to African country, and you're probably safe bet. Oh yeah, he has a foundation that goes all throughout Africa. But so I have a family friend, and he was born in America. He's black and everything like that. But he's accepted in African culture because when he learned of his African heritage, he decided to act upon it and went to Africa. And when he saw the state of the village of his origin, he decided he was going to better it. So he had wells built, and he had like money, like, you know, he helped build businesses and help build wealth in the village and everything like that. And so now he could go to Africa and they treat him just like, you know, family and everything like that. Now, he even actually got an African name, which was wild. they were like, he had a name, and then they were like, okay, well now that you're accepted into our culture, by the culture, we give you, your name is decided by these people. So, your name will now be this. And he actually claimed it. And he was like, that's my name. And so now it's him and his wife. Anyway, I digress. You have all these leaders that had a dream and just ran with it to build what it would be called an empire. That's you in such an interesting way that like it's hard to ignore it. You know what I mean? Like that's why I would follow you pretty much anywhere. But like at the same time, you know I'm a lazy fuck, so I'm probably not the best bet for your empire, which is sad. But the fact
that's the thing, though, is like anybody who's
that's another thing. That's the difference between a good leader and a bad one.
I was just gonna say, like, know your role. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you are not causing damage or harm to this idea, to this empire, then you're not doing. You know what I mean? If you're progressively working on yourself, you're in a state of progress. You're going forward.
It's just like how sports and everyone has to get points.
Fair.
Sometimes we need regressors too, though, because then they show us how we could have better progressed out of this little. Oh, there's a epidemic of people who are just being too lazy. How do we fix that? How do we make, like, oh, is it an issue that we have to address? Well, I mean, it's building on obesity, and that obesity is killing them. Okay, do they want to get out of this obesity? No. Okay, then it's not an epidemic.
Right.
Oh, they do, and they just don't know how, and like it's really hard for them to fight through it. Okay, let's figure out a way to make it easier for them, right? There's always this saying that I kind of, it's its own circle, right? It's like hard times makes tough people, like strong people make easy times make weak people, and weak people make hard times.
Yes.
And for me, like I always say, you choose your own difficulty. I choose to remain in this hard time making strong people. Like I would rather choose the hardest path all the time. Bless you.
Thank you.
I would rather choose the hardest path all the time because it's making me stronger. So I can make times easier for everybody else until they want to join in this hardship, right? Do you want to join in this hardship with me? No? Okay, well, I'm going to be here anyways.
Right.
So you let me know if you want to pick up that shovel because it's not going to stop me. You picking up that shovel, you not picking up that shovel, it doesn't matter. I'm still shoveling anyways. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it goes for me. Like, I always, like, if the difficulty scale is 1 to infinity, I always choose infinity. Like,
Right. You're gonna move.
I'm gonna
towards
choose infinity plus 1 every time.
every time. You know what? See, when you finally find a position for me in your empire, you go ahead. You give me a call. I can do pretty much anything.
You are a little wild card. I know.
It's stupid though. You know.
There's the thing though, is like, I want people to choose that for themselves, right? It's like manifesting. It's not. We're re-stealing the idea of manifest destiny,
Yeah.
right? Because people use that as like, we could pillage and village because of manifest destiny. We're manifesting our destiny.
Right.
No, like manifest your own destiny though, but make sure it's within your right that you stand up for yourself with it, and you're not causing harm to other people.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're not leaving the whole waste, like, or the whole land in tatters to manifest your destiny.
Right. But that just brings us to ultimately to an argument of ethics, right?
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Which again, ethics should always be if you're, just disclaimer, ethics should always be considered in all choices made by anyone of real importance. But
And that's why and again, I was gonna say that's why we had to talk a little bit of conversation before this, but like that's why I deal with the problems I deal with, and they're vastly different from a lot of people's problems. We argue that probably some people's dreams.
yeah.
But for me, it's a problem because there's still things need to be fixed with this. The system is not like it. The way
System's
for me,
broken.
the system, yeah. Because
Down with the system.
and here's the reason why: because if someone gets to this level without like the kind of ethics and morals that I put myself on, like they could wreck this entire level of the system completely.
Yes.
That's why, like, I'm okay being one of the very few people with this kind of problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing everything I can to not cause like carnage in this level of that system. If that makes sense, you
Right.
know?
Which
so
is
for when people do get to that level, then they do it with not the same mindset, but a proper mindset.
right. And I had an idea, but I forgot it. I don't remember. I've been having goldfish moments where it's just like I talk, and then we get to a point, and my brain's all like, yes, conversation, yes, words. And do you remember that time?
They had like a meme of the JRE podcast where they were like, it was like, I look at the podcast a little differently now. It's like he's a caveman who's still trying to figure everything out, but he's getting smarter so he can call people's bullshits out. He's like, you stick man, no, this and it. I would love to pull up that video. It was hilarious though, because it was just a straight meme of like Joe Rogan's just getting smarter. So he's just like he's now able to call people on their shit instead of being like, oh, interesting, oh yeah, no, that's an interesting take. Let's go with this. Like, he's just like, no, that's kind of bullshit. Like you're just making things up now. Like, let's get back onto the main tax, like brass tacks.
Right. And that's like, and I'm trying to have that, but like I'm doing the opposite. Because when we started, I feel like I was so much smarter, and now I'm like, when I have conversations with people now, my mind just goes, yeah, right, yeah. Wait a second.
Yeah, you find the fallacy in argument, and for me, I love this because I like to let the fallacy run, because I know it's fallacy.
Right.
You know, I'm just like, let's see what you're trying to concoct here, though. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of bullshit are you trying to feed? Let me see, so I could get to the root of it and cut it off there.
Which is,
I do that with people a lot.
You do. I remember when you used to do that with me way in the early days, where I was just like, you know, man, I don't need to work. I'm a genius. I'm fucking up here. I could do things that the majority of Americans couldn't even dream of doing. And you're like, all right, then do it. And I was like, hey,
I was like,
wait.
all right, if that premise is all true, why isn't it happening?
Right,
And
and
you're
like,
well, and I'm like, here we go.
You're like,
Snip, snip.
If you are a genius, then why aren't you achieving anything? And you're just like, well, you know, because, you know, achieving things is bullshit. That's my whole argument. Oh my God. But like, again, you and I have this, the reason why I have been talking about your so-called empire this whole episode really is because it's genuinely fascinating for me to watch someone. You're the only one, right? Like, you're the only one I have in my close circle who is genuinely out here going, there's the status quo, and then there's what the fuck I'm gonna do. and if you don't like it, tough shit. All right, it was a good run.
That was the stuff. That's the beautiful part about it is like I do that. I'm like, oh, you don't like it? Okay, well, you could leave.
Right.
You don't. No one asked you to stay in this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was like, you can show up to the bar, you can have a drink, we can talk, but I'm gonna be, you know, achieving shit, and you will still be at America's Tires. I know that's all right. I'll drop it. We're not gonna get there because if we go down America's Tires route, and I gotta say this real quick. You know what Cassie said to me the other day that made me just mad?
what happened?
So, Cassie's been partaking in the fever, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And we were, and I was just like, this is what I was like, how are you gonna look at me like I'm a piece of meat? Like, you just want me to do your shopping, clean the house, and be big and strong for you, right? And after I say that, the only thing she says is, oh, your arms when you used to work at America's Tires. And I was like, how dare you? She was playing with my little grandma flag. I was like, how dare you? I was like, you know, that place was fucking trenches for me.
I'll literally like tell people, I'm like, dude, that girl just treated me like a fucking meat stick, man.
They do. That's a whole other thing up for a whole other episode, but that's a fact. Sometimes they just look at you and they're just like, look at that tall drink of water. Oh my God. All right.
We'll cap it there.
Right.
On that note, it's your boy Maui.
And your boy Waffles.
And this is
Couch
Couch Surfing.
Surfing. Peace.